Hey there, food lovers. Welcome back to Stuffed, the podcast where we talk about cooking, our favourite ingredients, and chatting about different ways to be creative and inventive in the bedroom.
Ready? It's hosted by me, George Egg, the snack hacker, and the voice you just heard, Martin Odell, the Lagom chef. This is a show all about making food accessible, fun, and above all, delicious.
That's right, so each week we'll be chatting about some of ours and our listeners' favourite dishes.
So head over to our socials at The Stuff Podcast and get involved.
You know what?
We've
We've just had a big conversation about how podcasts are not so visual and people are listening, and then we're just being very visual and not so listening.
Yeah, I mean, people will watch that on a clip, but if they're just listening to the podcast, they'll be going, are they okay? And what's that weird sort of sound of mouths moving from the other microphone?
This is like two excitable dogs. Anyway.
Before we start, can I just say something to the audience?
Go on.
Tell your friends about the podcast.
Oh,
spread the word, because we've just been talking about
cheeks.
going. We really want to make sure that more people listen to this, because it is good, and we put a lot of effort in, and the production company here puts masses of effort and time and everything else in. So if you enjoy this, subscribe or resubscribe, because apparently subscriptions don't last indefinitely.
No, unless you read the small print.
Talk to your friends about it.
Yeah.
Comment, like, hit the all 5 stars, and spread the word so that more people listen, and and everyone gets to learn and be inspired more and everything else. Martin,
Succinct intro.
how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you? What have you got to say about it? Go and rattle through your notes.
Okay, I had a disappointing arancini this week,
Please tell me about it.
and I had a nice one as well.
Can I guess the reason as to why the first one was disappointing?
Yeah, that's a good game. Okay, right, go.
I think because the rice was stodgy and bland.
It was bland. It wasn't stodgy. It was...
Is it too big?
Yes.
Yes.
Well done.
Thanks.
Too big. Obviously, that whole thing is it wasn't fresh, so it was at a farmer's market, so it was cold. They heated it up, but not in a microwave. They did heat it up in an oven, so it wasn't just like complete collapsed.
But it was warm on the outside, still cold in the middle.
Yes,
Yeah.
it had too big. It was too big, so it had a massive piece of mozzarella in the middle that wasn't stringy and melted.
No.
It was just bland.
I've had it
was
before
just so
down at
under.
the Greenwich market as well. They used to do them with the the bolognese in the middle, and it was just like so warm. You're like, oh, it's going to be great. And you bite into it, and it's just like dry
ice
and then
lolly.
cold in the middle. It's just like, oh,
So that was the disappointing one.
good.
Um,
Was it expensive? Oh, it's always sad when it's a bit of money in it.
I mean, everything seems expensive these days.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk around a farmer's market, you think,
How are we meant to
really?
live like this?
This is
Yeah.
insane. So I mean, it was big.
Yeah.
I mean, it filled me up.
I'm just
but
asking you, was it
didn't-
expensive?
Yeah. I mean, when I'm saying it was relative to the size of it, it was kind of. I mean, it was still, I think, $7.50 or something.
Yeah, that's expensive. Right,
That's
what
a
was the
lot
good
for a
one?
bowl of
Tell me
rice.
about the good one.
The good one was a canapé
Very good, smaller.
at a thing, and it was the size of a big grape.
Oh.
It was so small, and it was really crispy. It literally just come out of the oil.
Yeah.
So it was just pop it in, and it was
What was the innards?
I think that was a mushroom one.
Oof.
Mushroom, just mushroom and rice. There was some cheese in there too. The bland one was spinach, but it just didn't taste the spinach.
No.
It was like there was so little spinach in there, and it looked like seaweed. It was like blacky rather than.
We used to make
kind of,
arancini
green.
balls for canapes at the cookery school, and it was like, all you have to do is just make your risotto tasty, and then make it over tasty.
I was just going to say exactly
Yeah.
that. I think it needs to be like this is too seasoned. It's like no.
Yeah, because once you've done the breadcrumbs and deep fried it, and
Exactly.
then you had a couple of beers.
At the farmer's market, though, I did get there was a tahini pastry, like a kind of almost like a cinnamon, not really a cinnamon bun. It was more like a twisted thing, but then into a spiral, and it had loads of tahini in, and it was that was great. And it was
I like the way
really
you just said
crunchy on the
tahini.
outside.
You said it just like teeny.
Did I?
I think
Did
you
I
did,
miss the
but
middle
I
syllable?
liked it. Yeah,
Teeny.
I thought I'm going to take that.
Teeny.
Oh, do you want to have a teeny dip? Teeny.
Teeny dip sounds like you have like down the bit. Should we go teeny dip and then
Teeny
go
dip.
and get a beer?
Yeah.
Get a beer. A beer. That was like drink and then beer. I changed my mind halfway through the word. Do you ever do that? Do you ever do that where you change your mind halfway through the word and then it comes out all like wrong?
Well, like I said, when I was on Sunday brunch, I was like 10 steps ahead, so I called them the Dirty Boys instead of the Beefy Boys because it was the Dirty Burger. But I was like, right, I need to tell them the same right word
Exactly
of the burger. But
I think Dirty Boys is a good name for a brand.
Brand.
Who am I?
Who
even am I anymore?
I mean, good for social media engagement. Oh, the Dirty Boys. Anyway, great burger.
What have you been up to?
Well, Sunday brunch, 8 burgers. That was a little while ago though, but burgers. I had 7 bone. I had the Dexter from Plimsoll in Finsbury Park, and then I had the Beefy Boys from Dirty Boys.
Which is a great big
but it's the
super
Dirty Boy
tower. Am I going to ask what was the best? Yes, I am. What was the best?
Oh, they're all different, and this was the hard thing.
But that's like the guest said. She was so diplomatic and interesting rather than just
Well, that's it. And it was such a good review. But I would say like the Dexter was brilliant because it was so basic, and it was just like the raw onions.
That was
beef.
just a smash burger, wasn't it?
Smash burger. And then the 7 bone, because I said at the beginning, I was like, I don't really like a thick patty. But then 7 bone do a thicker patty, but then they serve it.
It's like, super rare, isn't it?
Really rare, yeah. But it's like amazing. And then, the Dirty Boys is just
big messy.
Oh, I'd love Dirty Boys,
fun.
Big dirty. The Beefy Boys are really dirty, But that's the one we had that. But they did that Oklahoma, and then we were talking about the cheese skirt one they did as well, and it was just
that Oklahoma one was highlight of the year for me.
Yeah, and they did an Oklahoma patty for me because I said, "Oh, I love the Oklahoma," and they were like, "Oh, we weren't going to do it," and then they went and got an onion
in the kitchen
and did it for me.
Nice one.
Yeah, good.
They're
lads.
good. They're good folk. Aren't
But it was good times. But then I also went to a Gosney event a couple of weeks back, which was quite interesting. It was Gosney and at the River Calf, and they kind of took over this little sort of garden area in front of the River Calf, and it's just funny seeing the clientele that go into the River Calf.
Oh, it must. Is it West London?
Yeah,
Southwest.
Yeah.
So they're going to be just with wealth.
There was this. It was so funny. I turned up to the event, and it was kind of like you have to walk down this sort of bricked corridor to get to the sort of like the river.
Yeah.
And this taxi turned up, and it was obviously quite a nice taxi. And then this young girl got out, and then the mum and dad sort of got out after, and then the girl was just like clicking fingers like this, didn't even say any words, was like strutting around like this, and I was just like cracking up like in hysterics. But then you see the clientele that go in there, they're all like absolutely loaded.
It's insanely expensive, isn't it? There
is it? I've never been.
Well, I assume so. I've never been.
Yeah, but we were just eating pizzas on the canal. It was quite funny. They were like,
and was it all pizzas done in the Gosney, or were they doing other stuff?
Yeah. So it was a Gosney event. Met Tom Gosney, nice man, really lovely man.
Oh, it's a real surname.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it Tom?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, not all.
Well, that's his handle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Adam from Peddling Pizza was there. And I was like asking him about how to do the pizza shaping thing.
Yeah.
Because he does it. Oh, it's so cool.
He does it so his
push
videos
it out like that. Yeah.
Well, he does it. It's like his videos are fascinating because they are all real time, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're literally from ball to finished pizza in
2 minutes,
a minute and a half, if that.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
But I said, can you show me? And even when he showed me, this is my ADHD brain, I've been learning how to do a Rubiks Cube, and that's what it kind of made me feel like learning to do the pizza, because he pushed it out, and then on the side he did a cut, and he was like, I'll show you. So he puts his hand down, then he lifts it up and pulls it, so then the left side becomes the middle. And then I was watching him, and I was like, it doesn't make any sense in my head. And then he was doing it, and he did it really quickly, and then he did it really slowly, and I was still like,
I know there's a few things like that I've watched pizza like stretching, and I can't get it. Couple of other ones. One is that thing where someone's got their palm open and then they put their fingers around it. And I've watched that so many times in slow motion, and I can't do it. So I'm just for the listeners. So there's a particular video of an Indian guy doing it, and he's got one palm open, the other palm open, and he kind of wraps his fingers through the other, and it looks like his hands pass through his other hand.
Yeah.
And it's super simple, but I just can't do it. And another one is, I've watched so many videos of how to fold a fitted sheet so that it looks
with the
really
circle
nice
corners.
and neat. Yeah. And there's a certain way of where you kind of get all 3 corners into one corner, and it looks super neat. And I managed it once, and I was like, I can do it. And then it's like, no, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I've watched videos and tried.
But I've been learning to do a Rubik's Cube, and that's the same thing. Like there's this 10-minute clip, and it's just like there's 6 different stages you have to go through to get all the bits in a certain place. And I'm sitting there, my wife's like, are you still going at it? I'm like, I just want to know how to do it. But there's like certain combinations, and you get to the last bit, and if you get it wrong, you're like all the way back to square one. It's like,
You haven't got one with you, have you?
No. I was going to bring it with me because I left my headphones at home, and I had to go on the tube all the way here.
Let's bring in Rubiks Cubes next time.
Can you do it?
Yeah.
Fucker.
Only because I did exactly the same as you, though. I'm not clever clogs.
But how fast can you do it?
It usually takes me about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, maybe.
Well, I'll get it under 3 minutes then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try
Just
and beat
because, but no, I did the same thing as you. I got a book and I learned the basic moves.
Yeah.
And then you basically have to position the bricks that you want to change into that. So then you reverse that. So anyway, yeah.
It's brilliant.
But I think it's just a really good sort of meditative brain exercise where it just takes your mind off all the other things you've got to think about because you're just focused on that. So I think it's a good...
Yeah, I lost about 4 hours on the toilet the other day.
Yeah.
My wife was like, you're still in there.
But do you know what? Better doing that than scrolling or whatever, isn't it?
No, it's brilliant. Really, I'm really into it. Really, really into it.
I wonder if you could cook with a Rubiks Cube. Probably not.
No. Right, we've got some quick-fire questions here to get the energy up for the second record. That's not a lie.
That's like in Mid-Morning Matters, Alan Partridge, when he reads out and says was it Shape FM trying to maintain our listenership in a fragmented marketplace, and he goes, "Sorry, I read that out from an internal memo."
So, George, we've got some quick-fire energy-up questions here. So, at this moment in time, what is your favourite cuisine to cook and eat?
I don't know.
Great. I'm going to say Thai.
I'm going to say, like, dirty burgers.
Oh, lovely. Dirty boys. Have you had any cooking fails this week? E.g., burnt anything, something that didn't turn out right, or a member of your family didn't like the meal you made?
Can I look through my photos to remind me?
No, it's quick fire.
Yeah, I know, but I can't think of anything. I haven't burnt anything. Well, not on purpose.
Okay.
Not by accident.
I burnt a cheese toastie the other day and I was really disappointed.
That is so disappointing, especially with something like that when it's just such a treat.
I know, I was being really cocky and I did, got some lovely sourdough from Pavilion that was down the road. Did it, buttered it, wrapped it in parchment paper, put it on the stove and was like, little press on it. I was like, it's going to be lovely. Then picked it up and I was like, oh, twat. The induction was like so intense in one point, it burnt.
I burnt some broccoli, but it was on purpose.
Okay, well, you burnt something. Yeah. Have you come across any chefs online this week that you would like to give a punch in the face to? A shout out to? Any chef you'd like to give a shout out to on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3.
Thomas Parry, the head guy of Mountain and Brat.
Ooh,
only because he posted about my book. And I thought, well, that's nice. And his audience is going to be quite different to other people's. I would imagine he's got quite a chefy audience, so that's a nice endorsement of what I'm doing. Fantastic. So shout out to him. Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Well done.
Thanks, man. What about you?
Nah.
Have you come across any chefs online this week, or not online? Anywhere?
Ever come across someone?
That's too cheap a joke to even contemplate doing. That you'd like to give a shout out to? What about people like you've been doing a lot of stuff at your studio? Anyone there helping you out or stuff?
No.
Secret.
Pass. Let's go.
Secret.
Yeah.
It's the question of the week. Every episode, listeners, we have a question that we pose in part 1 and answer in part 2. And before we get to the answer, we have a little think about it. And today's question is... Go.
The following are translations for various Italian pastas. Can you name the pasta? We've got little worms, cooking pot, and little tongues. Well, it says 3 different pasta shapes. That's great, isn't it?
Little worms.
Little worms.
I mean, I can visualise
like a spätzle.
What the little like a spätzle, or there's one that was more twisted.
Congratini.
That feels like that one. Unless little worms is just a type of spaghetti. No, it couldn't be, could it?
How little is a worm?
Cooking pot. What the hell could cooking pot be?
I don't know.
Cooking pot. I can't think of a pasta shape that. I mean, I know we've got the ones that look like ears.
Oh, we've got the one that's a shell.
Yeah, that's conchili or something like that, isn't it?
Conchini.
Little tongues.
More about how you cook this one.
Oh right.
Oh right.
Okay.
Oh right.
Cooking pot. So all pasta.
Right, Sadie's feed. Sadie isn't mic'd up. Sadie is our producer. She's slowly giving us some information.
We've got to get these guys mic'd up because we like it I like it when I get a laugh and you can hear it in the background.
I know, otherwise it's just me looking at you.
Yeah, going, you said that before. Yeah. I can't fake a laugh.
Right, so little worms. Cooking pot is the vessel that you're cooking it in. And then little tongues is the shape.
Tongues feels like could be little worms.
Little tongues.
Little tongues, big tongues.
Oh.
Big scary tongue.
Well, there we go. Right, we'll come back to that in the second part of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, get your thinking caps on. Don't use Google because that's boring. Just
before we move on, quick fire.
Oh,
What's the best pasta shape? We've done it before, but say it again.
rigatoni.
Spaghetti. There we go.
What?
Different people, different people, different pastas.
Oh my god, I can't believe you like spaghetti.
I think spaghetti is definitely the best. Are you thinking about the spaghetti?
Yeah, love it. Right, should we move on to the star ingredient of the week? I'm excited about this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show where we have a star ingredient. This week it is going to be something that is an ingredient. It's not a dish. Sometimes it can be lasagna. Sometimes it can be...
Well, that's usually the Britain's Faves bit, isn't it, where we do the dish?
Well, no, because it says here, star ingredient and... Oh, yeah.
Well, and dish that one of us has done.
Oh, yeah.
This week we're talking about everyone's favourite luxury. Everyone's... are we having... Go around to dinner. Are we having that?
He's
Oh,
worked
that's
up his intro,
fancy.
isn't he? Come on, George.
But no, it's prawns,
Practicing this
isn't
on
it?
the tray.
But no, prawns is isn't it? It's one of those...
We should got them mic'd up. That was a real laugh.
Everyone was laughing at me, not with me. Prawns.
Prawns!
But they are, that's kind of, they always seem fancy, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Peter just came in and
Prawn
said,
curry.
I had prawns for dinner. I was like,
Oh,
show
it
off.
is though. But they're not actually that dear in it. And like compare them to, I mean, they seem to be comparable, like, 100 grams per price.
The thing
most
with
fish.
prawns is if I was like to go, I'm going to have a prawn curry, I just feel like prawns wouldn't fill me up. So I never have seafood really at a restaurant because I always go and I'm like, I'm just going to be hungry. I'm going to have to spend another 20 quid on the way home.
Yeah.
Or $6.99 to get 2 triple cheeseburgers.
Or £8 to get a disappointing arancini.
Yeah. Oh.
Or they have to wait in the morning for the farmer's market.
But yeah, I love a prawn. Favourite memories of prawns, I'll ask myself, is like deep. We used to do them in restaurants where it was just like loads of garlic butter in like a little terracotta pot or whatever it is, and just prawns in and then just in the oven, and they're just like.
That almost feels like a sort of hot potted shrimp kind of thing, because potted shrimp, isn't it? That's shrimp and butter, but then had cold to make like a spread, but the same kind of quantities of or ratio of prawn meat to butter.
What do you use? Maize? Is it maize you put in it?
A mace and nutmeg
Mace
or
mace.
but
Mace.
Mace. I think it's mace.
I think it's mace as well. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like
Maize.
skunk and aniseed. I don't know which one's which.
That was so funny. The skunk and aniseed. I just love the way I'm going with it, and then I go, I think you got it wrong there. Have I? Listeners, just scroll back, find that. It's a nice clip from a few weeks ago. So prawns. My favourite prawn dishes. Well, I brought one that's like a kind of memory one, but we'll come on to that in a minute.
Can I guess it?
Yeah, if you want.
Think about it.
Now I'm thinking about other things. Can't help myself.
I'm going to say you're a bit of a Mary Rose boy.
I am a bit. It's not Mary Rose,
Oh,
but
you prawn cocktail crisps in a toasty in a Greg's bake.
do you know what? Of crisp flavours, I don't like prawn cocktail crisps because I think they just taste like tomato ketchup.
Ooh,
Prawn cocktail.
spicier
But the
than
crisps,
ketchup.
yeah, but they just taste of sugar and.
Go on.
kind
What's
of
your favourite
flavour.
dish?
My favourite. I've got too many favourite prawn
you have.
dishes, but I don't. Should I get the
Just
one
get it out, whip it
straight
out.
away? Yeah,
Yeah,
but we
whip
want
it
to
out.
talk about prawns in general as well, don't we?
Okay, go on then.
Well, wait a minute, I'm getting my dish out.
What's the difference between a prawn and a crayfish and a aren't they the same? And a shrimp. Prawn and a shrimp. What's the difference between a prawn and a shrimp?
I assume in this country a shrimp is loads smaller, but then in America and Europe they refer to prawns as shrimp, don't they?
Right, there we go.
Yeah.
That's where it's confusing.
But I think, yeah, if you buy shrimps from the supermarket, they're really, really tiny, aren't they? Little brown shrimp.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd have in potted
shrimp.
But then you can do potted prawns as well.
Potted prawns, why not?
Right, so
One of my favourite prawn things we used to have as a kid was spiced breaded prawns that would be in the frozen aisle of Tesco's. They were like really cheap. And we used to just chuck them out in the bag, stick them in the oven, and they were just these brilliant, like really kind of firecrackery, spicy prawns. The old man used to do them all the time. Is that mushrooms?
yes, and I know you're not massive on mushrooms.
No, it's
but-
not. It's not that. It's just my Wheato doesn't enjoy them.
But can you have a tiny bit?
I'll eat it just for a laugh, but you'll have to clear up the mess.
Follow you round like,
Yeah.
like I own you with a little bag.
Oh,
Right. So I'll tell you what this is.
please
I'll
do.
near my mic first.
Where are
what's
the
next?
prawns?
In there.
All right.
Wait a minute. Just getting a book.
What are those weird prawns that I sent you a picture of that weren't prawns but are like marinated in that sauce that I picked up from Aldi?
Oh, they're just surimi or whatever it's called.
Surimi, yeah.
Basically just reconstitute. Same thing as crab Yeah, so
shaped in
just
a prawn.
reshaped white fish matter that they can make into any shape. So this is totally a dish from when I was a little boy. So this is a cookbook from my parents' house, the Sainsbury's Book of Italian Cooking by Mary Reynolds, and there's a whole series of these, and they're just classic 80s cookbooks. And
Guys, I really love the cover. Should we do it again?
oh, I know. It's so fascinating. I mean, I find you're doing loads of cookbook stuff on your social media at the moment. I find the way that fashions change with food photography and how unbelievably unappetizing. I know. But I just find, like, you go back a few years and you look at the kind of the desaturated photos, the flatness, the choice of crockery and things like that.
Let's
It's
cut
just
everything into
unbelievable.
circles.
Yeah, no, it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, brilliant.
But in this book is a recipe that my dad, when my parents went, there it is. It's that one there.
Where is it?
This one here.
Oh my God! I would
which-
absolutely just never.
So my parents,
Yeah.
it was their dinner party standard starter, and
So insalata di funghi
loved
e gamberi, raw mushrooms and prawn salad.
yeah, and I think it's delicious. So basically, what you do is the mushrooms are essentially ceviche. What have you found?
I'm just
Something
laughing at
disgusting.
just the recipes. Prosciutto con melon, 1 melon, 4 slices of Parma ham.
Yeah, no, they're just they're hilarious.
Prosciutto e fici, 8 ripe figs, Parma ham.
But this is a super simple recipe.
But that was sorry, I'm going to butt in
Yeah,
again.
no,
That was
go
the
on.
recipe from your book where you did the burger and sauerkraut, and it was
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
it's
the
just-
ingredients was sauerkraut.
Yeah,
and it was
30
like
seconds.
go buy a burger.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
brilliant.
it's you got to customize the burger. Just going to my burger, you got to customize the
Oh,
burger.
yeah.
Get rid of the ketchup. Add extra. I can't remember, mayo, mustard.
I don't know. I didn't
and
read
then
it. I
put
just
the-
laughed at that bit and then flipped the next page.
So what this is, I'll
It
talk,
smells
I'll
so
talk you through it.
garlicky.
It is very garlicky. There's only one tiny clove of garlic in there. So it's basically ceviched mushrooms. So they've just got lots of lemon juice, olive oil, salt, and then no salt. Sorry, you put the salt on right at the end. Otherwise, they draw out too much liquid. So raw mushrooms with lemon juice, olive oil, and garlic and pepper.
Does it matter what mushrooms you use? You've used obviously a
I've
chestnut
just
there,
used
yeah.
some chestnut ones, but I mean, it just says button mushrooms in there. So this is, I mean, this is exactly what my dad would make as a starter, and it go in the middle of the table. And then you add salt and masses of parsley at the end. Stir that through, and then it's just had with cooked defrosted prawns. But I think the combination, we should get a photo of it before. I love the look of it with the
I've never had prawn in ages.
the bright pink prawns on top of the green.
I love it when you eat them and you go like, "God, is that a bit off or is it all right?"
Well, hopefully they're all right.
You know, like
I
when you have a
defrosted them this morning.
No, you know when you have a prawn sandwich from like M&S or something, you eat it and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, there's a bit of a waft to it."
Well, I would say of almost all ingredients, prawns are, when they go, boy, do they go. I mean,
yeah.
insane. I did years ago. I did a comedy festival in New Zealand, and there was this incredible fish market that I went to every day because I was cooking a fish in my stage show. And I bought these prawns from there and put them in the fridge with the intention of making something with them. And then I was just too busy because I was out every night doing the show, and just opened the fridge one morning, and it was like, what's happened?
God, it's made me shiver thinking about it.
It was so awful. Anyway, and I didn't want to put them in my kitchen bin. It was in this little apartment. I was there for a month. So I thought, well, I'll put them on my balcony. Put them on balcony in the bag. Anyway, and then shut the door. Then a couple of days, and it was hot. A couple of days later, opened the door, and it was like
Humsville, Tennessee.
the whole of Auckland stinks, and it's terrible. I thought, well, I don't know what to do with them. So I basically just looked around, made sure no one was there, and I was about 8 stories up in this apartment block. Just drop them off the balcony. They've got to get away from me somehow. But similarly, once we had some chicken that had gone off, because chicken as well, when that goes, it's
I've
pretty
got a story
bad.
about chicken, yeah.
Anyway, and I put it in I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. Put it in our bin. Anyway, and my neighbour, have I talked about this before? And my neighbour came knocking a couple of days later and said, we're really worried. We think there's a gas leak. And I said, oh no, it's some chicken I put in the bin. So I ended up taking that down the road and putting it in a public bin, like sort of,
I think we did talk about this because I told
away.
you about the hard chicken that I bought from Brixton Market. So like hard chicken is it like a rooster? So they use it for stocks and stews.
Right, so it's like boiling
it's
fowl.
like- yeah.
Yeah.
And me and my mate were really stupid and we cooked it in like a tinfoil bikini and we like pinned it up against the oven like this. So when it cooked, it was like sitting there like this. And then we were like, oh, this is so stupid. We put it outside, and then like a couple of days later, I was like, what is that smell? And I couldn't figure it out and left it. And then opened up the balcony. And I was like, oh, it's the chicken. Picked it up and its back fell out and it was like
Was it all full of-
thousands of maggots.
Oh,
like,
no,
and
that's
I was
the
like,
worst.
I was like kicking it off the side. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's just like, what do I do? What do I do? Do I
Oh,
just,
there's the
like
smell.
boiling water or something?
Oh, gosh.
Right, let's get a spoon. Have a little tasty.
I'm sort of I'm going to eat it because I'll eat anything, but I know that I'm going to have to run.
Even just with a few bits.
That tastes like it smells.
Is that a good thing? I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm going to have a taste. I won't taste
That
it.
is so delicious.
Isn't it? It really works, doesn't it?
It's so garlicky and acidic.
It's really fresh too, isn't it?
Really
and
fresh.
you taste the prawns, even though the lemon and garlic is overwhelming. I think the irony, parsley, and texturally it's lovely because you get a bit of bite because the mushrooms are essentially raw and the prawns are soft. It's lovely, isn't it?
It's such
And I'll tell you how we would always serve it was with really thinly sliced buttered wholemeal bread.
I was going to say it
And
needs
it's
a bit of
just-
bread.
Yeah, but like super, like try and cut it as thin as possible.
Oh.
Something like Crank's loaf, where it's got a real bit of weight to it. Yeah. So there we go. So that is a total George Egg memory of being a little boy dish.
That's great. What a good memory to have.
It's lovely.
I know what I'm going to talk about as well. I just got a shell.
But that's what I was going to talk about, shells.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I always think of when I go to France is the prawns in France. They're just a different world. You go to the supermarket and get prawns in France. Obviously, they're always shell on.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they've been steeped in sugar. They're so much sweeter.
Really?
Yeah. They're so much sweeter. They're so much pinker. I don't know if they treat them in some way or what, but sorry.
Oh.
Bloody cough. Yeah. If I think of France and prawns, it's just like another world.
I always talk about prawns and like, do you suck the head?
I
Are you?
have once or twice in a kind of, I'm in company, I'm going to look cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't really. I felt a little bit uneasy doing it.
No, if I'm like having a prawn and they serve it whole, I always rip the head off. I'm not a sucker, but I'll eat all the skin and all the shell and everything.
If it's like been deep fried and it's all crunchy, yeah, it's
no,
fine.
even if it's just been fried, I'm like, just get it down here.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was like boiled one or whatever, it would be a bit too chewy and wangy, wouldn't it? Do you think? Maybe.
I don't know, but then the tail can be a bit deadly. They're really spiky. Sometimes when I get a bit carried away with like the tempura ones, and I'm like, yum, 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 and I get to the end, I'm like, I'm going to eat that, and it like gets
Yes,
caught.
it can be a little bit, or between the teeth, like a bit of apple skin, and then you're going, trying to go out like that, and you got your fingernails.
I would say my favourite way to have a prawn is that like the weirdly straight tempura ones.
Right, where the tempura kind of really bubbles up almost like
the cheap
Rice
tacky
Krispies,
ones.
sort of.
Yeah, the really cheap.
Yeah, but it's got that bubbly, hasn't it? That kind of, yeah.
And I figured out how they get them so straight. Do you know?
I would assume they fry them on a skewer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, no.
Oh, how do they?
No, you're right.
Am I right?
Yeah, no, I saw Ben Lippett do it, and I was like, he had these things. His cooking's always like quite precise and cool.
Yeah.
And he had these two chopsticks, and he put it through, or two skewers, sorry, and then battered them and deep fried, and then pulled them out. I was like, that's how you do it. Because I put them in, mine are all like
If you get whole prawns, do you always take the
poo out there.
No, I don't either.
No, I don't see the point.
But you see videos where people would break the head off and then pull it out. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
like really sinister
they stick
looking.
the thing through the back of the spine, don't they? And then they lift it up to pull the poo
Yeah,
sack
and then it
out.
says,
I quite like the element of poo.
Fair enough.
Yeah. These haven't got poo because these have been split and done. But I suppose prawns is not something that people necessarily buy. You right? Texting your mum.
No, I was just checking my notes. This is why I write them down on paper. It looks like I'm looking at my phone, doesn't it?
That's only one of Yorkshire. Got me all the time.
She's dead. But anyway,
Oh.
go on.
Oh God!
I'm just texting her grave.
Well, you
It's
text
all right, you
yourself.
go on.
Maybe it's like a
I'm not
family
dead.
habit. Mum's text back. Oh God.
What were you going to say?
Sorry, mate.
No, I don't mind. It's fine.
All right. Fine.
What were you saying before that?
I can't remember now.
Anyone?
Oh, buying prawns. So he was talking about buying prawns, and I was saying, like, in the supermarché, I think people, I genuinely think people are fearful of buying frozen prawns and not cooking with them because they have this fear of cooking things from, not cooking from frozen, but cooking frozen
twice.
things.
Yeah.
Because it's, like if you go to like a French supermarket, for example, you always get those big box of jumbo prawns that are just like frozen solid in a block. And I think people have that perception of seafood having to be fresh to eat it.
Yeah.
But a lot of, pretty much all frozen, all food,
sea,
all fish is frozen at sea anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my point. That didn't make a point at all. But I just wonder if,
point.
yeah.
Can you cook it from frozen?
No.
Well, I suppose there'd be
You have to
too much
defrost
water.
it.
And also, if it's in a block, there's going to be so much water, you'd end up just like boiling, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I think you need to defrost just to get rid of all the added water. That's the main reason.
Yeah.
But I would imagine if they weren't, so I would, if I'm doing like a cooked dish that's going to have frozen prawns in, I'll put the prawns in straight from the bag because they'll defrost and there's only a little bit of water in the glaze, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
I think it's the end outcome that you're looking for, especially with frozen prawns. Is there not a health and safety thing about cooking them from frozen?
That's what I was asking, because I sometimes do cook them from frozen.
Well, you're still alive, so that's
I can't
sort of
see
answers
what the
question,
problem would be.
There's always so. I think it's to do with, like, if you was to cook, it's about stuff being in the danger zone. Danger zone. So especially with chicken, if you have like a big lump of chicken like that, and then you penetrate, the middle bit's still going to be frozen, and that middle bit there is going to have danger zone. But I presume if it's something like a shrimp or a prawn, it's so small that it defrosts quite quickly.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I would say if I'm using prawns in like a curry or something like that, I will finish cooking the curry, put the frozen prawns in, put the lid on, and then just leave it and let the heat of the curry defrost the prawns so that they don't end up going all tight. But that said, I learned a recipe a couple of years ago that I've just make so much, which is a prawn ragu, where you actually cook the prawns for ages and you chop them all up really small, and it's just like using them like a
paste.
I don't want to say the word protein because it's so awful, but you're basically using the meat just as like a mince. But it's heavenly, and it's got loads of habanero chili, and it's really hot. It's got tomato. You put white miso in as well. You put a bit of wine in, and it cooks down, and you just get this incredibly bright orange oil around it with this so sweet ragu. Ooh. And that with a bit of pasta is just out of this world.
I remember having Tom Brown's cuttlefish ragu, and it was so intense.
Is that similarly done?
Yeah. I think you got pasta everywhere.
Have I?
I'm going to get that bit off. That's it.
Thank you.
I remember
so the same sort of thing, like chopped up and used just as a mince.
Yeah, it's just like super intense. But then prawn toast.
Did you say it was cuttlefish or crayfish?
Cuttlefish. Yeah. Prawn toast. I love a prawn toast.
Prawn toast.
I wonder how much percentage of prawn there is in a takeaway version of prawn toast. I reckon it's probably
it's not going to be much, because they're going to be wanting to keep it cheap.
Who does? I saw someone do it the other day. Chicken and prawn toast.
Yeah, I can imagine that would work.
Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to Britain's Fabs. Now, Britain's Fabs is the part where we talk about Britain's favourite things. It could be something that is a favourite in the United Kingdom or Britain. It is coleslaw.
Coleslaw, or these days... Slaw.
Everything's just short.
Slaw. It's all slaw and mac and cheese, isn't it?
Go on, I'm going to shorten some words and see if you can guess what I'm talking about.
Oh, good game. Go on. Huh?
Corn.
Prawn.
Oh. Beef.
That's difficult. No, these are difficult because they're all one syllable. Beef.
Yeah. Here we go. What about this one? Ert.
All I can think of is squirt. Which is a
yogurt.
Mexican
yogurt,
like Sprite style drink. Yogurt.
Yeah. Me and Noah started playing a game where we would just like bang, and then we'd have to guess words. And I was like, no, it's syllables. And he was like, no, I'm just banging the word. So it becomes this game of just like, what
so it's
see?
Just kind of going like that.
Bowl. Oh yeah. Anyway, it's coleslaw. Do you like coleslaw?
I mean,
concise answer, please.
No.
Good, me neither.
It's one of those things. Well, I mean, I've enjoyed coleslaws, but it's one of those things that, like,
oh God,
really?
I
hate the tubs of it where it's just so full of kind of almost fizzy mayonnaise. It's
yeah.
horrible.
Oh yeah, I used to make it loads when we used to do big sort of contract catering jobs for the like the behind the scenes stuff. We used to do crew catering, and we used to get all like cheap produce, and we'd have to make up coleslaw. And I just remember being like elbow deep in like big tubs of mayonnaise, just like, oh, here we go again. And it's just like cabbage, carrot, onion, and mayonnaise, and it was just.
I tell you what I don't like about it is I am scarred, literally and physically.
Why?
No, literally and
Oh,
metaphorically.
you're gonna tell you were chopping up a.
I was using a mandolin.
Oh, she's gone there.
And yeah, I mean, absolutely, yeah.
Which
like,
thing?
whoa.
What were you doing?
Well, just doing the veg. I don't know, cabbage probably.
Oh,
And
which
I just
finger
went
was it?
Middle one.
Oh,
I mean, it was so. It was like, should we go to casualty with this?
yes. Did
And then
you?
no, because I called my friend who used to be a nurse, and she said, if it's hanging off,
Yeah.
yes. She said if it's
Off.
taken off, it's not going to go back on.
Did you find it?
Yeah, it was in the coastal bridge to get it out because we had some vegetarians. Did explain to them, said, "Don't worry, we fished it out."
Oh, I love it. I love it. They won't let you on Sunday brunch. I had a meal that was
Won't let like mandolins
mandolin.
on there.
They were like, you have to wear the glove, and I was like, absolutely not.
Or was it like big metal gauntlet kind of thing? Yeah.
Because I think they said something like 11. It was a really weird number. Like 11 people have cut
Yeah.
themselves by doing it. And it's,
Well, we've discussed it before, haven't we? The Rick Stein.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just love the line where he goes, if you can hear a sound in the background, that's the sound of a mandolin being thrown in a skit.
it's like the sound of polystyrene for me. Whenever someone mentions a mandolin, I either like
it's
curl my
totally.
toes or pinch my willy.
Well, it's like those videos, those fail videos of people, like falling off skateboards and landing right on their gooch and everything like that. They honestly, I get this weird fizzy sensation, like in my
Yeah, you have to pinch
rude
your willy.
bits. Yeah, it's so weird. Anyway, that said, don't like coleslaw very much. I mean, I will make a kind of, I don't know, does coleslaw have to have mayonnaise in it? Because that's when it falls down for me, is when it's too gloopy. Like finely shredded cabbage, carrot, things like that, with some herbs and maybe some seeds in there as a kind of nice kind of fat salad.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's
like in a
that's a
burger.
slaw. Maybe who's Cole? Why is it called coleslaw? So Sadie, our producer, just said that coleslaw is the German Dutch for coleslaw, cabbage salad.
Right.
Coleslaw.
Which I guess it is mostly cabbage. It's cheap.
It is cheap.
Bulk. If someone said, I'm really sorry, Martin, but Tony's coming round and he really loves coleslaw. Can you make your version of it? What are you doing?
I'll take out.
And he says, I don't mind if you like twist it.
Well, I'll just do it. I'll do a more of a fresh slaw.
So no mayo heavy.
No mayo.
Right.
I like it with a bit of lime, bit of olive oil, bit of chili, bit of garlic, a bit of red cabbage. Sack off the. Well, I suppose red and white, but then you're left with 3/4 of a cabbage because you never need a whole cabbage.
Yes, and I always find that the red bleeds into everything else.
Yeah,
Unless you
and
do
then
it super fresh.
Bit of carrot, bit of red onion. But I hate it because I don't like raw red onion. It's just one of those ones that I'm like.
I would say if I was doing it, I would put in a lot of herbs because that just makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
And I like toasted seeds in it, so you get a nice little bit of texture.
This is this is my dad's classic. Whenever they come and stay, he'll do 4 or 5 dishes, and one of them is breaded chicken, jacket potato, and coleslaw. And I'm like, cheers, Dad.
Yeah.
Here we go
And
again.
would that be made coleslaw? Would that be like?
Oh no, it's straight out of a pot. And those weird pots
it's just
that are like
it's just too
sweet
mayonnaise
and claggy
sugary.
and-
Yeah. Hey, here's what I would do if you do want to put in a mayo kind of thing. I would always go sort of half mayo, half yogurt, and it's just a bit fresher, and you get more acid from the yogurt, and it's just a bit less, just like claggy.
And I suppose like once you put the mayo in, less is more because it will soften down, the liquid will come out a bit, and then I'm still.
I'm not. I don't.
No, Britain's Fabs, not our Fab.
No, not our fan.
Not our Fab. Right, what are you using doing a dressing? Blah, blah, blah. No. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners' questions and stories. This is the part of the show where you have given us a question or a story and we read it out and we discuss. The first one is through Daryl. Shall I read it as you're about to eat?
Yes, and then
Okay.
I'll read the next one.
Okay. So Daryl said, I said I'd cook for a few friends soon and want to impress them with my limited cooking skills. What's your impressive dish that's actually super easy?
I'd say make that as a starter, the prawn thing.
That's very easy, isn't
That's
it?
so easy, and you can do it well in advance. And it's fresh, and then if you're going to have... That would be ideal for something before something heavy, because it's not going to fill you up, but it's going to weight your palate up.
Yeah, I always go back to thinking about like Valentine's Day, and we've already had this discussion about, you know, doing a lot of the heavy lifting before people arrive. So things like, I don't know, like a slow cook something, even if you want to do something like a cassoulet, you can't get a cassoulet wrong. Beans, loads of pork, you can cook all that down and make that taste delicious.
Yes.
Stick a sausage on it, stick a bit of duck on the side, and away you go.
Yeah. Yes, and it's one of those things that if you leave it in the oven for an hour longer than you plan to, it's going to be fine.
Something that's like a big, something like we said, something you can prep and just pop in the oven and know it's going to take 45 minutes, and the cooking temps aren't that relevant. Like if you're going to do something like a steak or a roast beef or something like that, then you're going to be nervous about.
Panic. Yeah. Yes, I'd do something like a lamb shoulder, super slow, a pork belly, super slow. Then
or your chicken, French market chicken.
Yeah, that's fun.
Can't get it wrong.
No,
something you can't get wrong. And then what would you do for dessert? I'll tell you what is a bit of a crowd pleaser, which you think is quite hard, but isn't actually that hard. It's a creme brulee. You can't if you do that ahead of time and you get them all set. Lovely, decent cheesecake.
Do you know what? Last time I did creme brulee, it went all like scrambled eggy. Yeah,
because it's too high.
Is it?
Too
I did the
high
bain-marie
too high attempt, mate. You panicked, and then you tried rushing it, I reckon.
Yeah. I tell you what, you said cheesecake, a Basque burnt cheesecake. I've been making those like
that. Takes a lot of skill though.
The method I use, just basically you just make the oven as hot as possible, and everything's just mixed in the same bowl, and then you pour it in, and it's just the recipe I follow, it just says 250 degrees, 19 minutes. Take it out, it'll be wobbling all over the place, but trust it, let it go cold, then put it in the fridge, and it's almost like room temperature ice cream when it's just beautiful.
Oh,
and if you've got, I mean, this is a bit fancy Nancy, but
go on.
If you've got, or a friend has got a fig tree,
oh, here we go. Turn to page 35 of this.
Get the leaves, dehydrate them in a low oven, grind them to a powder, and then fig leaf in the cheesecake custard, almost coconutty, goes green, looks beautiful, tastes amazing.
Bloody hell, might as well put some matcha for it while you're doing it.
I don't know what matcha's like even.
Disgusting. Tastes like grass.
Well, I don't want that.
No. Or you just do a cheesecake. Mum used to do it. She used to get cream cheese, and then she just put flavoured yoghurt in, and that was it. Put it on some biscuit base, and you're done.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
I read a recipe the other day that I can't remember whose cookbook it was, but he was saying that it was a thing that his mum used to do, and it was literally just Greek yogurt, like you'd spread that out in a bowl, then like really dark brown sugar, like the kind of, it's almost molassesy.
Yeah.
Sprinkle of that, then more yogurt, sprinkle it. Anyway, and that's it. So it's literally just yogurt and sugar. He said, but then you put it in the fridge and leave it, and the sugar just dissolves and melts into everything else. And he just said it's just one of the best puddings. But how simple is that?
Wow, that is simple. There we go, Daryl. Good luck.
Faisal asks, what is the sweet time spot for resting a steak?
Oh,
wow, this is
tuned in last week, mate.
Listen, last week, yeah. I always find that if I leave it for 4 to 5 minutes, like it says online, it comes to the table kind of cold.
Look,
that's what
the thing you need to remember with life and temperatures, etc., is if you cook a steak to 54 degrees and then you leave it to rest, that is not going to be hot. If you think of how my son has a bath, 36 degrees, otherwise you cook a baby. But 36 degrees is like lukewarm.
Yeah.
And when you think of food, everyone thinks, you've got to have it piping hot. But piping hot's like 70 degrees. So that of shift of that is, it's just like,
I really don't like my food too hot because you can't taste it.
Yeah.
Same too cold. It's like ice cream. I don't want it straight out of the freezer. I want to let it warm up a tiny bit so you can taste it better.
Yeah,
can I just ask a question just based on what you said about your son's bath? Because you have your thermometers. Do you test his bath temperature?
Not anymore.
But when he was small, did you used to actually test it with a thermometer?
We've got a star thing that you bang against the side of the bath and you throw it in.
Oh, that's great.
36 degrees. Yeah. Or you can stick your elbow in and go.
Yeah. Yes, because I remember the elbow thing when ours was small. But
yeah, he gets a bit obsessed with it now. And he's like, it's too hot. I was like, getting it, mate.
Yeah, I've just checked. It's too hot. I'll just enjoy it.
Oh, just shut up, mate. Why are you so red? Oh, yeah, sorry.
The whole steak thing of it comes out to the table kind of cold.
Yeah.
I think the whole point is that if you're going to use the fond and cook something in that, then you've got a hot gravy sauce, whatever, capers, bit of cream, bit of wine, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you pour that on the room temperature steak, and then you've got the heated sensation in your mouth and so on.
Or even if you're just going to have it with something like you're going to have hot chips.
Yeah. Then
Even if you have it with a hollandaise, that's going to be cold, or a béarnaise, that's going to be cold. Yeah, just enjoy it, mate. Just don't put it in the fridge to rest. That'll be really cold.
Put it in the freezer.
Right, we're on to the wine.
On to the wine list. Just for those who don't know, the wine list is you send in, or sometimes we have our own complaints in the food world, and we either resolve them or agree with you or say, come on, it's not that bad. And Josh says,
Oh, get off, Josh.
Shops never sell wild garlic when it's in season.
Because it's free, mate.
Go and get it. That's not a wine. No. It would be awful if they sold it in shops, because then it would take away the fun of picking it.
Yep, next. Dom says, untrue flavour notes. It's the worst when I try a new expensive chocolate branded as cherry or a new coffee bean that's described as having passion fruit notes, only for them to taste absolutely nothing like these things. We need to get Gilby in.
I was going to say, I kind of see where he's coming from, in that when, I taste wine with someone who knows about wine and they say, oh, you're getting this, you're getting that, and I'm just thinking, I'm just getting wine.
Yeah. Right. Whereas a Gilby used to go, tastes like laptop. Getting the subtle hint, the hint of chalkboard.
Yeah, no, I know what he means. It's but then I wonder if that is just someone with a more
in tune palate.
Yeah,
I think if you've got a very, very good palate for picking up those things, I think you will subtly get those.
Yeah.
But to us, mere mortals, we're picking up the obvious things. So if it doesn't taste of orange, then we're like,
yeah. I mean, definitely I've had coffees where I've gone, oh, this does have a real kind of citrusiness that does taste like, cherry or whatever. But not that cherry's a citrus fruit, but you know what I mean, that kind of acid.
But then I think it's that thing of like, well, I'm going to go a little bit off tangent here, but I think it's if you look at a cherry and you go, what is your perception of cherry flavour, is probably not true cherry flavour, but you have an acidic tone from the cherry, which is maybe what they're pulling out, more than going, you're going to have cherryade flavour from this coffee.
Yes.
You're going to have...
Yes, I suppose also, I wonder how much of the flavour of cherry is your perception of the look of a cherry and the texture of a cherry and all that kind of thing is what you've got going on.
There is a book which I never remember, which is the one that's got the foreword by Heston, but it's all about how your nose and your taste buds and everything work together.
Oh, gastronomics or gastrophysics?
Is it that one?
The one with all the jelly beans on the front with M&Ms.
No.
Oh, right.
No. So it's the book is The Art and Science of Food Pairing, and
I've got that book. It's so intense. It's so like,
yeah.
oh god, it's like being at school.
But it's like one of those things where it's like, there's you're eating prawns. What are you getting? Prawny, great. But then you do that, and you're like going, I start picking up a bit of zinc, and then zinc does this to you, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So I mean, I just took a cheeky mouthful of the prawn thing, but there's a real, when you said zinc, I was getting that metallicness from the parsley. Then that's got that real slight lick a spoon kind of flavour to it. I mean, I did also lick a spoon because it was honestly maybe that's what it was. God, it's weird that parsley. That's how I licked a spoon.
Oh god, those prawns are really platey. Oh, that's because I just licked off a plate. Talking about licking plates, have you seen that mad restaurant? Is it The Alchemist, which is in Copenhagen, which is like a 7-hour seated meal?
Or is that the one that's in a big kind of starry dome?
I don't know where it is, but how it's set. But it's like a 5-6 hours, like $700-$600 or whatever it is. But there is a dish where they have like a little bit of food on the corner of the plate, and they're like, corner, wherever, you can't get a corner on a circle, but side of the plate.
Yeah.
And it tells you to pick it up and lick it. There's like all these like weird plays on how you're meant to taste food, and
I love that sort of thing.
Yeah, should we do it? Should we expense a trip for the podcast?
Yeah, last hurrah.
Can we make the wine list? Did anything make the wines?
Shops selling wild garlic, no. Untrue flavour notes. It's not valid. I mean, I get where he's coming from, but I don't think it.
I've got one.
Yes, please.
I went and shopped in a big Asda the other day.
Yeah.
And the supermarket, I think we've already had this, but the supermarket genuinely made no sense. Like, I walked down an aisle and it was like the baking aisle.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I'm going to come across raisins, like stuff that you perceive to be with baking stuff. But nothing was there. I couldn't find some items.
Was it because they'd rearranged it? Was it
No,
one that you were
I'd
familiar
never
with
been in there
normally?
before.
Right.
But it was like an utterly baffling experience. They didn't have courgettes.
They'd run out, or they didn't.
I just
stock
couldn't
them?
find them.
Maybe they just ran out.
That's a good point. Anyway, let's move on.
I don't think that's good enough.
Shit, I just saw the answer to the first one.
Oh,
The first one I thought you guys might have known.
Yeah, I didn't.
well, do you want to?
I'll test you.
All right.
Well, hang on. I'll only do the first one, and then you don't.
I mean, I
peek.
don't need to. Yeah, I just won't look.
Okay,
I'm
right.
taking them away.
I want
I just won't look.
I want to play a little bit as well, though.
Okay.
I only
Have
know
you
the
seen
answer-
them all? You've only seen the
only
first
the
one.
first one.
If I,
Oh no, I've just seen all of them now. I put the wrong card up. I was like, I've done this so well, and I was like, hang on, that wasn't the question.
all right. Well, then in that case, you've seen them all, so it's all going to have to be on me guessing. So
Gosh.
what's the first one? Tiny worms.
Little worms. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the question of the week. This is the answers. So the following are translations for various Italian pastas. Can you name the pasta? So the first one is little worms, which is
Well, I don't know what it's called, but
Right.
the one that looks like a
little
slightly
worm.
twisted little worm that tapers up
No.
and then out.
no.
What is it?
I'll give you a clue. Think Asian cooking.
A sort of angel hair vermicelli.
Wow! Good job.
Well, because you said Asian cooking.
Yeah, that's all right.
what's
Right,
usually-
cooking pot. Don't think of a shape of pasta. Think of a dish.
You said.
Not like a dish, but like an actual dish you would eat. Not the vessel you would cook it in. I mean dish. I mean
not lasagna.
yes.
Is it?
Yes.
So lasagna literally translates to cooking pot.
I don't have a clue. Apparently so.
Wow.
And then little tongues is the last one.
Is it one I'd be familiar with?
Yeah, 100%.
Is it one that you could put in the palm of your hand? So like spaghetti, you couldn't because it would drape down. Is it one that,
No.
that you could put a piece? I'll say it's a long one.
I'll give you an obscure clue. It would come in a nest if you bought it fresh from the supermarket.
It's your friend of mine, Tagliatelle.
There we go.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not. Oh no, it's if spaghetti and tagliatelle had a baby.
Linguine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I suppose, yeah, language, tongue, langue du chat, French, cat's tongues.
Long shit. Long flat poo. Look at that. Little
Wowee.
worms vermicelli. Why are they little? They're quite long, aren't they? Thin. They should have
Maybe
called
it
it
should be
thin
called
worms.
thin worms.
Thin worms.
They should call it thin. They should call it thin worms.
I've got-
not tongues and flat rectangles.
I've got a brilliant one that we should do, which I saw once, which I think they did on Tastemade, is where they put a recipe through a translator like 64 times, and then they tried to cook it to see if it made
That's
sense.
a great idea.
Yeah, they did it. Well, it was so funny. It was almost like going, pick up the little worms, and you're like, well, what is that? And you had to try and decipher it.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
There we go.
Just talking of lasagna,
Yeah.
I made a good lasagna the other day.
Oh, stop it! Did you go on?
I tell you
me.
why. I tell you why it was so good. It was one of those never to be repeated ones because it was some ragu that I'd made a while ago and then just frozen what was left, which had, I don't even remember. I think it had like whole bits of like ox cheek and pancetta and all sorts of things in.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't quite enough, so then I got some fennel sausage and cooked that up with some tomatoes and then added, and it was just one of those ones where it's just all bits and bobs.
Is your life on like a 4-month repeat? I'm sure you did this for like your birthday or something.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Well, basically, if I've got ragu, so when I did the ragu, then it was too much, so I've frozen some of that.
Yeah.
So it's like the Forth Bridge. So it's like there's probably ragu in that's about 9 years old.
Right.
That's making it amazing, like the stockpot gun.
I was watching Eater, my favourite YouTube channel, and,
Yeah.
and there was a restaurant in New York where they got famous for their lasagna, and it was the way they did it was basically just like they made these huge, beautiful sheets of pasta, cut them into these massive rectangles, and they did like a super thin layer of like even you were like that's a bit stingy of the ragu, and then they would put another layer of thing, and then they would put Parmesan cheese, and then it was something like a kilo of mozzarella would go into each lasagna. But they
Wow.
were famous for it, but it looked
So
amazing.
it's just super stringy kind
And
of.
one of their salads while we're on it, I can't remember what's a weird plant that you like, chrysanthemum leaves.
I don't
Yeah,
know
they had
about those.
chrysanthemum leaves, and all the salad was literally these washed leaves, salad dressing, and then they grated Parmesan over it, and it was almost just like bacteria spores had taken over the top.
Oh, so it all crisped up and like...
No,
Oh,
it was
I see.
all just like snow
right.
over the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. They all had tattoos called palm arms because when they had to do that.
Oh, from the grating.
Yeah. But I'll find the clip because it was
that sounds
unbelievable.
fab.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, look, that's the end of the app.
That's another one wrapped up.
That's another one.
That wraps up another episode, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we kept you entertained, maybe inspired you to try something new and inventive in the kitchen.
And hugely important, listeners, follow us on social media so you can get involved in future episodes. And remember, we're on YouTube, so head over there to see the delicious food that we cook and eat here in the studio weekly on Tuesdays. That's what it says.
Does it?
Tuesday videos.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Subscribe, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Tell your friends.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all
Next time.